Valley, and want to announce before we start that remember we're one community. Most of us I think have heard about it, but it was very sad to hear that Vince Dino passed away. I believe it was over the weekend, and he came to many Avek meetings, and he couldn't be more of a gentleman than Vince. But anyway, we're going to take just a moment of silence with him. Thank you all. All of you, please lead us in the pledge.
United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We call upon you again, roll call.
Mr. President. Division 6, Audrey Miller. Here. Division 5, Robert Paris.
Here.
Division 3, Jay Tremblay.
Here.
Division 2, Keith Dias.
Here.
Division 1, Drew Mercy. Graham.
Here.
Division 4, George Lane.
Here.
General Manager Knutson.
Here.
General Counsel James Markman.
Here.
And Holly Hughes present.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to voluntary public roll calls. So anybody may be listening in, we'd always like to hear from you. So please identify yourself.
White Fence 3, Jack Cephas, good evening.
Hey, Jack, welcome. As usual, we're always glad to hear you with us.
John, you can say.
Hey, John, welcome.
Thank you.
We've been anyone else?
Ben Stewart, Roseland Community Service District.
Welcome. Okay, we'll move on to item number 5. Public comments, period open to the public. So if anybody would like to address the board and an item is not further on the agenda, now's the time to do so. Move on to item number 6, adoption of agenda. The board order would be 6A1. Need a motion, second.
Mr. President, this is Rob. I move approval of Board Order 6A1, the adoption of the agenda.
Motion from Director Paris.
Director Miller, second.
Second from Director Miller. No further comments or questions, Madam Secretary?
Audrey Miller. Yes. Robert Paris.
Yes.
Jay Tremblay.
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Drew Mercy.
Yes.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes, motion carried. And moving on to item number 7, consent calendar. We have 2 items. We have the minutes of May 27th, and we have a negotiated exchange, and this is a little different than most, so I'm going to call upon Matt just to briefly explain that.
Okay, thank you, President Lane. Good evening, board. So, as you know, we typically have these various tax sharing resolutions, but the ones we typically see is where an area or development is being annexed into a public agency that receives tax revenue, so that you have to reallocate the proportionate share of the 1% ad valorem tax amongst the public agencies. This one for tonight is a little different, and this one is a resolution that kind of does a little bit of the same thing, but it's areas, begins on page 11 of your board packet, and attached to the resolution are various areas that are either being detached from Quartz Hill Water District or detached from LA County Water District, LA County Water Works. So for years, there's these areas attached to the resolution were within both jurisdictions. So, and then they had various agreements between the 2 agencies as to who was providing service. So sounds like this has been in the works for about 10 years, and it's just now making its way through LAFCO and Quartz Hill Water District and LA County Water Works. They've come to an agreement on who's serving what portions. So this resolution kind of cleans up the tax sharing between the 2 agencies. There's no effect on AVEC's taxes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
If there's any further questions or comments from the General Manager? If not, a motion would be in order for 7A1.
Mr. President, I'll move on 7A1.
We have a motion by Director Miller.
Well, I'll second
We have a second by
it. Jay Trump.
Jay, okay. Madam Secretary, we can have a roll call?
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes, yeah, motion carried. Yeah, thank you. We'll move on, Finance Committee, and the chairman of that committee is Director Dias. Keith, we'll turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met last Thursday. The first item we discussed was consideration and possible action to accept and file the check register list for the period of June 26, 2025 through July 9, 2025, and this is shown as Board Order 8A1 in your agenda packet. I believe our General Manager Knudsen will make a report on this.
All right, thank you, Director. So begin on page 86 of your packet is our check registry for this period. I'll hit a couple of the highlights. We went through this in detail with the Finance Committee, but item number 1 is a pretty large payment to Department of Water Resources, a little over $6.6 million. And this is associated with our statement of charges and our fixed cost on the state water project. Each year in January and July, we have these bigger payments. Typically, the monthly statement of charges in the 1.5, 1.8 million, somewhere in there. But like I said, in January and July, we pay these bigger amounts, and the large payment, majority of that goes towards the principal and interest on the bonds for the state water project. Moving on to the next page, page 87, item number 29 is an annual payment to the Nickel family for 1,700 acre feet of non-state water project supply that Avek has. We do get reimbursed for that expense. Item 32 is progress payment to APCO, who's upgrading our SCADA system at the Eastside Water Treatment Plant and Eastside Water Bank. 34 is annual membership dues to the Antelope Valley State Water Contractors Association. That was approved by the board previously, and that's $10,000. 35 is a little unusual. This is a progress payment to Bueller Environmental. And if you remember, the board approved a contract with Mark Bueller to help us with our SNP Phase 2 grant application to apply under the state's Prop 4 grant funding process. That's $19,000. 36 is a progress payment for Leona Valley Tank Rehab. And this is the final progress payment of a little over $71,000. The only thing left is the 5% retention that will be paid out in approximately a month. And those are the highlights I wanted to mention. They're on page 90. There is one payment associated with the High Desert Water Bank, and that's a progress payment to Kennedy Jenks. All of that, as you know, is reimbursed by Metropolitan Water District. Happy to answer any questions.
Any further questions or comments of the board? If not, a motion would be in order on page 85 for 8A1.
Well, I wanted to ask Matt about, it might seem like a stupid question, kind of very, what's Antelope Valley State Water Contractors Association that we're a member of?
So that
All the water companies in the entire Antelope Valley that are members?
it's the three. First of all, it's not a stupid question. It's a good question.
Thank you for making me feel okay.
So it's an association that was formed in 1999, and it's made up of the three state water contractors here in the Antelope Valley: Avek, Palmdale Water District, and Little Rock Creek. Those are the three agencies that have a contract to receive water through the state water project. So they decided back in late 90s to form a local association made up of commissioners, 2 members from each agency, and they meet on a regular basis and talk about partnerships and things they can do collaboratively together here in the Antelope Valley.
And what does that, we're doing 10,000, they're doing 10, they're doing 10,
Yeah.
30,000, what does that do?
That
I mean,
covers,
does that pay their directors?
no,
Their fees or?
that covers the staff time primarily for like Peter, Angel. There's a couple staff from Palmdale that contribute to the running of the organization. It also covers their insurance and other various expenses that they have throughout the year. Yeah.
Well, explains most of it.
All right.
So I move on 8A1.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second for 8A1, check register list.
Well, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. There's no further questions or comments, Madam Secretary?
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris, Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
And that brings us to item 8A2, Treasurer's Report for the month ending June 30th, 2025. And I believe that our Finance Manager Yates will provide us a report.
Okay, thank you, Director Dias. Good evening, directors. The average yield to maturity for the total portfolio at June 30th was 4.374%, which was down slightly, just 0.003% from the prior month. Average days to maturity for the total portfolio was 207 days, or approximately 7 months. And total cash and investments at June 30th was 170.5 million, which was up 1.2 million from May 31st. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I like the new format. It
Of the staff
reads
report?
easy.
Good.
Yeah, there's a lot of information in there, and I'm sure we'll have a chance to look at it, but if there's any questions or comments, if not, motion would be in order. You must be doing too good a job, Teresa. Nobody's saying anything. Okay. Okay, do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I'll move approval.
Motion by Director Mercy,
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
second by. We have a motion and a second. There's no further questions or comments. Madam Secretary, we can have a roll call.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes, motion carried. Yeah, thank you.
And now we'll move along to item 8A3, a proposal from Roadrunner Pump Service in the amount of $35,411 for the rebuild of one backwash pump at the Roseman Water Treatment Plant. And Operations Manager John Bozigian will provide us a report.
Thank you, Keith. We went over this with the Finance Committee, and as part of our asset replacement program, we are rebuilding one of the backwash pumps at the Roseman plant. And as you all know, backwashing is critical to plant operation. If you can't backwash the filter, you have to shut the plant down. So these are original pumps, and we sent out proposals. First of all, we budgeted $65,000 for this job. We weren't sure if we had to do a full replacement or a rebuild, so we wanted to cover that base. Thankfully, we don't have to replace the pump, we can rebuild it. And these pictures just show you what the inside of a vertical turbine pump looked like. I know all of you are probably in suspense at what this thing looks like, so it's pretty exciting to see these pictures. I did a little more research though. Director Dias asked about the impellers, the pump itself, that far left picture, if that's getting replaced. I thought it was, but it turns out that, there's tolerances. And they measure these pumps, and if they don't have to replace the impellers, it saves us money. So these impellers are within tolerances, so what they do is they sandblast them and then recoat them. And then they're gonna be good for, really the life of the pump. We sent requests out to 3 pump companies. One of them was Roadrunner, that's done a lot of work for us lately. The other was Farm Pump, that has done work for us in the past, and then Bakersfield Well and Pump, who does a lot of work in High Desert. no responses from Farm Pump or Bakersfield Well and Pump, which was a little surprising. So we did not reach out to Brax pumping systems. They've done work for us in the past. Some of their recent work has not been favorable as far as timeframes and so forth, so we didn't reach out to them. But we're happy with Roadrunner's performance. They've done a good job for us, so we recommend the board supporting giving this job to Roadrunner Pump. They're out in Pear Blossom. They're our local for $35,000 for $1135. Be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, a question, John. Are they also changing out the tube and shaft?
Yeah, good question, Gary. The column itself is being replaced, and then they coat the column. So that's, that adds the life to it. New bearings on the shaft. I think they're going to sand down the shaft, polish it up, and I think they're able to reuse it, and they're going to put new bearings in it. So
Good. Yeah, I like Archie. It's Archie over there, isn't it, at Roadrunner?
I think so. Yeah. Very responsive.
They've been doing since the valley kind of dried up on people doing pump work.
Yeah, no more DRC, no more Rothman.
Right.
So it's nice that you can stay in the valley and give us some business.
Good job, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is there any other questions? If not, a motion would be in order for item 8A3.
I will so move. This is Keith.
Director Dias?
Director Miller seconds.
Director Miller, may I have a second? Madam Secretary, we could have a roll call?
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes, that motion carried.
Thank you.
Yeah, does that conclude your report, Director Dias?
Yes, it does. Thank
But you're not done yet, so we're gonna come back.
you.
The planning committee, so back in your court.
Okay, thank you very much. The planning committee met July 11th, and the only board action item that we considered was consideration of possible action on authorizing the general manager to execute an agreement with Nobel Systems for GeoViewer tool suite. And I believe engineering manager Lidsay will provide us a report.
All right, thank you, Director Dias. Good evening, President Lane and members of the board. So just some background to start with. The item is titled Tool Suite. And so what we're tackling here is 4 different functions that we have currently under different vendors. So we currently have our GIS mapping with a company called Esri. Our meter reading and water accounting software is Avidine Lattice. We have a dig alert response, which is done through Utilisync. And then we have a work order / asset management system used by our maintenance department by a software called Upkeep. So just kind of keep that in mind. We were recently approached by Nobel Systems, who the agency worked with from 2016 to 2019 for our GIS solution at that time. And they've got some new tools related to maintenance and asset management. So they wanted to come and showcase that for us. We got talking with them about other modules or options within their software. And we think that there's a possibility here to consolidate those 4 items that I mentioned previously into one tool suite. So under one application, one website, we can access all of those things. So we thought there's probably some good benefits that we can get from that. Continue working with Nobel Systems, and here we are with a proposal today for consideration. But Nobel's been around a long time. They were founded in 1992. They're headquartered out of Redlands. They've got a cloud-based GeoViewer platform, which offers the different various modules for GIS, maintenance management, various different things under field operations, from meter reading to water level collection and other items. Like I said, we used them from 2016 to 2019. At that time, it was just for GIS, and we didn't have the other items that I mentioned. So we went away from them because it was more cost effective at that time to manage our GIS in-house. But since we've added those other functions in the few years since, it actually works out now that if we consolidate all of those items together with Nobel. So we can consolidate those into the one platform. That's really the big benefit here, is that it streamlines our operations from our operator side as well as the office side. Just one location to go to for all those various functions. It works out pretty close cost-wise. So I've got a table here. The agreement that was presented to us by Nobel is a 4-year term. A question came up regarding the cancellation policy at the committee meeting. So we dug into that a little bit. And their agreement standard is no cancellation for 4 years unless it's a cause-based cancellation. So we talked with them and they're good with annual cancellation. So we pay a year at a time and we can cancel with 30 days notice at the end of any given year. So they're willing to accept that for us. We don't anticipate any real reasons to cancel because we did have a good experience with them last time. So we put this table together on the 4-year cost that was included with the proposal. So the current 4 vendors that we're paying total out to about $226,400 over the course of 4 years. The proposed solution for Nobel is $195,000 for 4 years. I've got that third item on there, which is Esri Lite. We do need to maintain a limited amount of Esri GIS licenses, and what that's going to allow us to do is make changes to our GIS infrastructure ourselves. So our engineering tech primarily does all of our updates on GIS, so he'll maintain a license to be able to make those changes, and then we send the database file to Nobel and they upload it into their system so that we can see it all there. So it's a lot more efficient to do it that way if there's any updates. A lot of times we'll go out and we'll get locations. When we work on a pipe, we'll know exactly where it is. We need to tweak the GIS a little bit. So rather than sending to them, it's a little bit more efficient to do it that way. So we do need to maintain those licenses, just a limited set, as I mentioned. And so the total comes out for those two things combined to $227,800. So it works out to about $350 more per year for the Nobel solution. But we do think it is going to be more cost effective. There's also some built-in value in real-time property data. We had that previously and then went to GIS that we have now, and we lost that. We tried to add it at that time and they wanted to charge us $20,000 a year to get that. It's built in with GeoViewer. So there's a little bit of value that we're getting out of the core logic there that we don't have to pay extra for. It's baked into the cost. They also link all of our as-builts. There's custom reporting at no additional charge. So there's a lot of additional benefits that go along with Nobel. So they did a good job for us in the past. We demoed their solution this time and they put a limited set of AVAC data in there and we like it. We think it looks good. And so the recommendation of the planning committee as well as staff is to authorize the general manager to execute a contract with Nobel and then begin migrating our services over.
Is there any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question. The cost, the numbers that were up there were for the 4-year contract?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's total for 4 years.
Okay, but we could still cancel after a year if it's not working the way we expected or something bright and shiny comes up.
Yeah.
That's better?
Okay. Yeah.
Justin, what do you see anticipated cost?
Well, because it's for 4 years. For Nobel systems, it's locked in at that price for 4 years. So that will be the cost for 4 years for them.
So it's not really anticipated that's a locked-in cost?
It is, yeah, correct.
If there's no further comments or questions, motion would be in order.
I'll move on 8B1.
E1, $227,800. We have a motion by Director Miller.
Oh, I can second it.
Director
Jake.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay, we have a second. Madam Secretary?
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Boomer,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes, yeah, motion carried. Yeah, thank you. Good job, Justin.
Thanks, Justin. And that concludes the planning committee report, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Director Dias. Moving on, item number C, Customer Relations, Public Information. Director Van Dam is chairman of that committee.
Yeah, so we had our meeting on the nomination process, and I believe that one is General Manager Peter Thompson.
All right, thank you, Director Van Dam. So I'll go ahead and take this. So the committee did meet on the 15th to discuss consideration possible recommendation for CSDA Director for Southern Network CP. And we'll just give a little bit of background on CSDA. So CSDA, many of you are probably very familiar with it, but they do provide some state level advocacy. So some examples of that are getting some exemptions for zero emission vehicles for special districts, and also for helping with extend some of the relaxation of remote meetings for Brown Act rules. So those are a couple of things that they had some advocacy in over the last couple of years. They also do education and training for staff and board members, mostly administrative staff. If you want to know things about Brown Act or roles of board members versus staff members, the CSDA provides a lot of classes related to that. They also provide financial, regulatory, and legal support. Many of you may remember that class financial tool was brought to us by a CSDA rep. So they do provide some value to Avek, and Avek's been a member for several years. They do have board seats, and the board's role is to give direction, strategic direction on policies, provide oversight on the budget, and advocate for their members, particularly in their network areas, their network's special interests for special districts. Next slide. All right. So this is for CSDA Board of Directors Seat B in the Southern Network. So you can see the Southern Network up there. So that includes Los Angeles, San Bernardino, Orange County, Riverside, San Diego, and Imperial. So it's a pretty large area. And I believe there are 5 of these districts, and each district has 3 seats. So an A, B, and C seat that rotate every year. So the term for this seat will be 3 years. Going from 2026 through 2028. And we'll have to put in our vote if we choose to vote by July 25th. So we reviewed the statements from each of the candidates, and those candidates were Don Bartz, Jason Dathorn, and John Skirbalis. Next slide, Holly. So after some review of those statements and discussion with the committee, they came up with a soft recommendation for Don Bartz. And the reasons for those support were that Don has held roles with CSDA over the last 2 years in the leadership capacity as treasurer and prior board secretary. Committee felt like CSDA has been performing well and bringing value back to Avek, so they don't feel like there's an urgency to change. And being the incumbent, they feel like that some of that can be represented back to Don. Also, Don is the only person from the high desert area among the candidates. So the other 2 are from Riverside and Indio. So having a little bit more local felt like that might be helpful. We'll also recognize that Phelan Pinion Hills, where Don came from, there was some tension for a little bit. But as far as staff and committee members are concerned, there's been good relationships with Don since the differences over Watermaster back several years ago. So we generally have the consensus was a soft recommendation for Don Bartz, but a desire to get the rest of the board's input on that recommendation.
Peter, so the committee's recommending that, is that correct right there, Recommend down?
Well, we kind of brought it before the board, like Peter said, to get some input from the rest of the board. So I believe we would like to have some input.
This person's the incumbent, so is there any reason, but have any questions about we shouldn't endorse the incumbent for his continuation?
George? Yeah, they're paying a lot of money for our basin water, so I think we should support them.
If I may speak just to the community again, I'm on the CSDA local chapter board. I've met Don once or twice, seemed personable enough, but didn't really have a business interaction. My question really was, given the history and that little, issue with their agency. I just want to make sure that there wasn't anything we didn't know about, but, if not, I would support them again. I think, without a reason to oppose the incumbent, it seems to be doing a good job.
Drew, do you know either of the other candidates?
No.
Does anybody know any of the other?
Oh, but they look really nice in their pictures. They were male, there weren't any females.
If there's no objections, we probably don't need any further discussion. And so maybe, a motion would be in order.
I'll move we cast our vote for Don Bartz.
Director Mercy, we have a motion, do we have a second? Second by Director Van Dam. If there's no further questions or comments, Madam Secretary?
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Drew Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
Is there anything further?
I had one question on that. When was that, nomination to take place?
By the 25th of July, right? So
That's what it
if you
said.
guys agree, we can just cast that vote as soon as possible.
Okay, I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to item number D, Water Master and Groundwater Committee. Director Parrish is chairman of that committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll have Matt take over, or, yeah, you have to.
Yeah. Thank you, Director Paris. So begin on page 125 of your board packet is a little staff report that Angel put together summarizing the action items upcoming on the Water Master agenda tomorrow. So, and that agenda is on 127 of your packet. And then also behind that is a report from the advisory committee of action or recommendations they have on each item. So the advisory committee met last Wednesday, went through this, but I'll go ahead and hit the highlights. So the first action item is having a public hearing and approval of the 2024 annual report. As you know, each year, the Water Master Engineer puts together an annual report summarizing all the activities from the prior year and does all the water accounting for everybody's production rights, how much they pumped, how much carryover they have. Also, there's a lot of detail as far as stored imported water. Most of that is related to AVAC. And they also document the various transfers that were approved by the board in 2024. So this has to be approved by the Water Master Board and filed with the courts by August 1st, based on the judgment. So hopefully tomorrow this report will be approved. AVAC staff did go through it in detail. We provided some comments back to the Water Master Engineer, and they've incorporated those comments in the latest draft that's posted on the website of the Water Master. I think a few weeks ago, I did send out a link to the annual report to the full board, AVAC board, so you could take a look at that if you wanted to. But like I said, all of AVAC staff's comments have been incorporated. So our recommendation, recommendation to Director Parrish tomorrow is to approve the annual report. Any questions on that? No? I'll move on. Another item is Water Master Administrative Services. As you know, Water Master put out an RFP back in June, requesting proposals for administrative services. Those proposals were due July 16th, last Wednesday by 5 p.m. and no proposals were received. The only thing the Water Master did receive is the letter that this board approved that was sent on behalf of AVAC to the Water Master. So the letter is pretty self-explanatory and kind of lays out AVAC's position. So our recommendation for Director Paris tomorrow should be to support the letter submitted by AVAC that says that we're willing to continue, AVAC is willing to continue if requested by the water master to serve as the administrator, either under the existing MOU, which is the preference, or if there's small tweaks or amendments that need to be made to that MOU, we'll consider those, at least look at them.
You might ask the board if they have any comments or questions on that.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions, or everybody agree with that recommendation?
Yeah, I agree with it. And then is there a time frame for AVAC to do those services?
So the existing MOU that we're operating under does not have a sunset date. It just has a cancellation clause where either party, either AVAC or the water master, if something comes up, can vote to cancel or terminate the MOU. Now, one question was brought up previously. It was trying to put a term, amending that MOU and putting a term on it. And if that's the approach the water master would like to go, my recommendation as staff is just to provide some clarity and some staff planning purposes to at least push for a 3-year timeline on it.
That would be my recommendation. Maybe even 4 years. I would like to see a 4-year term, so that way AVAC, once they, dig into this and already is committed to it, then we don't have to keep going back and forth, and they know what their duties are. Julie, do you have a comment? 5?
Do I hear 6?
Matt, it's cancelable with either party with so many days?
Yes, the existing MOU is.
I just have a comment about a term, and I think Matt has talked to us, and certainly talked to me about it. If we have a term, our personnel are doing this on a overtime basis for the most part, or on their own. It's taken away from us, and we're going to have to at some point add staff. And if we're going to add staff to supplement what is being done for the water master, a term is good, because adding staff is a big responsibility and something we should, and those are type of things I'll discuss with the water master board. As we've been doing it from month to month, I don't think it's been fair to us, but something we had to do, and we picked up the slack and we did it. But at this point, it's clear that we're the best group to do it. We've been doing a great job. Angel and Peter and Teresa and Holly and Patty and the whole group haven't missed a beat. Gets compliments all the time, and we by far are the most fiscal conservative group to do this for them. We're saving the water master board, tens of thousands of dollars every year. And so, yes, I would like to push for some term. I think we have to have that discussion with the board and get an idea of what we can get consensus for, since we're going to need 5 votes, but I agree with that.
You're not looking for a motion at this time?
I don't think we need any motion. I think just direction. I always just take consensus.
Yeah, and again, my preference is, as mentioned in the letter that AVAC sent, is we could just operate under the current MOU. If the water master doesn't need to amend it or isn't requesting to amend it, we could just continue under the current MOU. The only added benefit of doing an amendment is to provide that term, a defined term, so that AVAC knows definitively that we have to fill this role for a certain period of time. As GM, I don't like the constant, go out with an RFP. Are we going to be doing it? Are we not? It's not fair to the staff that has to plan, for their duties, to be in this constant limbo of what we're going to do. If you recall, several months ago, the AVAC board approved adding a financial position. Remember that we added or approved to add an or accounting technician position. But I've held off on filling that role because I want to see where we go with the water master. If we're not doing water master for a long period of time, then me and Teresa have talked about maybe there wouldn't be a need to fill that position. But if we're going to be locked in for several years or more, then it makes sense to fill that position to help out. So
What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is tomorrow to go into it and see what the consent, make sure that the Water Master Board doesn't have any questions on our letter that we submitted, see what their pleasure is. My hope is that the Water Master will see some wisdom into at least waiting, like I said, 3 years to go before they decide to go out with an RFP, because my guess is Water Master doesn't have a good reputation of going out with an RFP and hiring a third-party administrator. So give that some time, maybe 3 years, and see how things go. And so with that said, I would, like I said earlier, I would support or recommend that AVAC would agree to an amendment with a defined term of roughly 3 years.
So our committee can convey that tomorrow.
Yeah. Does that make sense, Rob?
Yeah, I just want to leave it open because, again, it takes 5 votes. It's a negotiation. I can certainly express 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, because my view is it should be as long as the water master wants to, but that's going to be a point of negotiation, so I don't want to be locked in on any number. I think I've heard the board loud and clear. I'll try to negotiate the longest term we can. And I don't think we should make any type of deal tomorrow. I think it goes into discussion. It's being administered by our water master engineer and our attorney. And I think, my recommendation would be the attorney negotiates with AVAC, with Matt, on what the next MOU looks like. And there's things like cost of living we have to, and I know in our other MOU, I think we've taken into account of those things, but those are type of things I think if we're looking at a long term, I think there should be a renegotiation and a new MOU.
Okay, we don't really need a motion at this time, we just need a consensus.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sign anything.
And I'll come back and I'll tell you what think where we're gonna reach a consensus.
Yeah, and I think we're all on the same page.
Okay, great, thank you.
Everybody agree with that approach?
Anybody not agree with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one question. I hope our landowner reps and myself as a landowner will consider that 5-year term.
Well, you know who they are, Gary, and you go ahead and make some calls.
I actually think they need to call us.
Well, I'm sure there's a differing opinion about that.
Okay.
We'll see tomorrow.
Yeah, we got a few more items. So.
Okay, man.
And then just to go through quickly the various applications that will be considered tomorrow. We have one small pumper qualification application. This was approved or recommended to be approved by the advisory committee 11-0. And this is an existing parcel that has a couple small homes on it. The well was drilled in 1979, but they did not qualify as a small, oh no. Are they trying? There you go. So they're trying to qualify as a small pumper because they have this existing well. And secondly, they need to drill a replacement well. So same applicant is first qualifying, and then secondly, they have a well that goes dry during the summer months, so they want to re-drill or drill a new well within 300 feet of the existing well.
Why don't they qualify as a small pumper?
Oh, they do. I screwed that up. So, probably should have Angel.
Thank God for Angel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They do qualify. We're just documenting that they qualify.
I have one question. They're gonna pump out of both wells in the wintertime when the other well's good?
Thank you, Angel. So we're recommending that our AVAC representatives support approval of these applications. Don't impact AVAC at all.
Is there any objection? Okay.
All right.
One question, what the advisory board recommend on that?
11 yes and 0 no's
Thank you.
on both of those. Okay, next one, I'll try to get this one right. We have a couple of transfer applications. One is our annual transfer from AVAC to LA County Waterworks District 40. If you remember, we have an agreement between the two agencies that allows LA County Waterworks to lease a portion of AVAC's production rights. And there's a calculation that we go through each year to determine how much of AVAC's production rights that they can lease. And this year it happens to work out to just under 2,700 acre feet of AVAC's 2025 production rights. So,
is there any dollars involved?
There are dollars involved. AVAC, or LA County Waterworks, pays AVAC based on the agreement from 2015. It started at $50 per acre foot and it's been escalated each year. It's currently about $68 per acre foot. And then they also reimburse AVAC the administrative assessments that we've paid on that.
Does this agreement go on indefinitely?
As long as the judgment is in place. The second transfer application is between RTS and Oro Vista Farms. It's a one-time 1,350 acre feet transfer. RTS does some pistachio farming out near Gaskell on 110th Street East or West, I believe. And this was reviewed by the advisory committee and is recommended be approved 11 yeses and 0 no's. So our recommendation to the AVAC rep is to support approval of these applications. Any questions? Hearing none. Last set of applications, we have 2 new production applications. The first one is Ramirez for 3 acre feet per year for some ag use. They have a nursery, 4,000 potted plants in 5-gallon buckets or pots. The advisory committee did make a motion to table this item due to some things stated in the deed that says Ms. Ramirez only has 23% interest in the property. So they've asked that the water master engineer kind of clear that up and make sure they have the appropriate authority to request this production. So recommendation tomorrow for Director Paris is to see where the discussion goes based on legal counsel Craig Parton's comments on it, but possibly table this item.
So that will not be considered tomorrow. Let's recommend.
Yeah.
What type of potted plants?
Well, it mentions trees, shrubs, flowers, fruit trees, and palms. So hopefully that's what it is, not the other kind.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the AV joint investments. They're requesting 1 acre feet per year. They have to intervene to become a party to the judgment, and then they would be applying for new production. And this would be for domestic use. And the advisory committee approved this, 11 yeses and 0 no's. So our recommendation tomorrow is to support this application.
Okay, none of these is a motion in order, so as long as the board's in line with this.
Great. I will take care of it. Thank you.
All right, good. And that's all I have unless you had any other questions for items listed on the Water Master agenda for tomorrow.
Thank you, Matt.
We'll just take a moment to look at it
Okay.
and go on.
So I had one question on that carryover, right? Did we ever get to, on that storage agreement, where are we at with the storage agreement? Carryover rights.
There was an ad hoc committee formed with Brandon Calandry and
Carolina.
Carolina from the county. And I think they're having a meeting tomorrow at 9. We wanted them with staff to come up with some recommendations to the board, and then we will discuss it obviously in open session, and the advisory committee will be involved, but we do not have a regulation yet. And I was the one that assigned the two of them because we had, the county has a big carryover, and Brandon represents the landowners really well on that side. So I figured the two of them have diverse interests, so they could come up with some really good recommendations that we could then start working on. So that's where we're at.
And then also Dennis Lamro is part of that committee.
Yeah,
The advisory.
I forgot Dennis because I wanted Dennis involved because of his being the chair of the advisory committee. So it's the three of them. I'm sorry. Thank you, Matt, for.
Yeah, because I believe 2017.
Yeah, it's coming right along. So.
27.
Yeah. But as you know, it's probably one of the most important decisions and controversial one we may be making. So I want it to be well thought out and to have a lot of discussion on it before we get there.
I just know some individuals have went out and bought, purchased carryover water.
Sure.
So, being that they paid for it, they surely deserve to have it.
Well, and the landowners and everybody that have saved it and all that. So yeah, we'll see how it works out.
Right.
I think everybody on the Water Master Board's invested in some way in carryover. Certainly every one of the representatives. Am I right, Julie?
Okay, is there any more questions or comments? Rob?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's none, we'll move on. Item number 9, General Manager Report, Matt.
Thank you, President Lane. So just a couple items. Here's our monthly chart to show kind of how we're tracking with the water deliveries to our various customers. You can see in the table, we have actual numbers. These are all in acre feet. Actual numbers through the end of June. So, and then July through December are kind of estimated quantities. And we have it broken down to whether we delivered groundwater, recovered, stored, imported water, or imported water directly through our water treatment plant facility. So you can see we're tracking pretty good. Next month, Pete had a good suggestion. We're going to add what the estimated volumes were from January through June, just to show how we're tracking throughout the year, estimated versus actual. But if things continue based on this chart, we're going to end the year right around 40,000 acre feet delivered to our various customers.
What was it last year, Matt?
It was pretty much the same. It was very consistent. It was a little higher in 2023. That was 100% allocation, kind of coming off a drought, so people purchased a lot of imported water. And then our current flows at the various facilities. Port Hill continues to creep up a little bit. It's currently at 36 million gallons per day. Been kind of cooler for the month of July. I haven't seen those triple digit numbers sustained for a week or two at a time. So probably in August, we'll see flows creep up a little bit more than what we're seeing currently. East High Water Treatment Plant's at 3.6 million gallons per day, and Acton is about 3. So we've seen a higher use for the Acton surface area than we have last couple of years. Down below, bottom left table shows how much we're pumping out of the groundwater or stored imported water. So we are flowing a little bit from the West Side Water Bank. Most of that is going to the north to serve Edwards, Roseman, Mojave, etc. That's about 5 million gallons per day. And a little bit is going to LA County Waterworks at 80th Street West and Avenue H, just under 1 million gallons per day. And then Eastside Water Bank is off as far as recovery. Bench Ranch, we're flowing about 1.7 million gallons per day. That also goes through 80th and H. And our ag wells in Kern County going to the north are currently off. Our recharge operation, top right table, Westside Water Bank, we're still banking pretty heavily out there. About 187 acre feet per day is being recharged. A little bit at East Side and Upper Amargosa. Low Rock Creek recharge and High Desert Water Bank are both off currently. Upcoming events, we have the Water Master Board meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Here at AVAC, we're on Zoom. There's a special AVAC Finance Committee meeting next Tuesday, and we're going to focus on going through the budget for our upcoming fiscal year. We've gone through all the committees to get all the pertinent data together, so we're now ready to present the entire budget. And then that same week, on the 31st, Thursday, we have a special board meeting to go through the entire budget with full board. The Water Rate Committee met last Friday, and we're going to recommend, or the committee is recommending to the board to consider a 3% rate adjustment tied to the budget. If you remember, we previously approved up to 7.5%, and the committee kind of looked at all the options and is recommending 3%. So at that meeting, we'll approve the budget, hopefully approve the water rate, and also set the tax rate for the upcoming year. So we'll try to knock all three of those things out all one meeting at the workshop. Jim Markman's going to give some ethics training under Assembly Bill 1234, and that is scheduled for August 19th from 3 to 5 p.m. I think Paulie's reached out to all of you on that date. And then we have a couple of upcoming seminars, conferences. We have a couple of directors going to. One is the NWRA conference later this month, and the CSDA conference in late August. Any questions, comments?
Okay, any further? Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you.
You're finished, Matt?
I'm done. Thank you.
Any questions or comments to Matt, General Manager? Okay, move on to Item Number 10, Director's Reports.
I'm good. I just wanted to, we had our board meeting last week for the Special Districts Association chapter up here. I just want to say, Director Dino seemed in great spirits that meeting. We re-elected him as president. Just very sad for his loss, but he did work very hard for all of us in water out here.
Thank you for the comment. The attorney's report.
I do have a report tonight for the board, principally because Holly has been having some discussion with board members about some confusion because of a lot of information put out on campaign disclosure requirements for board members, candidates, and for their committees, their control committees. So nothing's really changed. We checked back the law back to the last amendment of Government Code 84200, which is the key section, 84280, and discovered that you have exactly the same requirements, which are as follows. This is for, again, candidates, control committees by candidates or board members, elected officials. What you have to do is file your finance disclosure forms put out by the FPPC. You no longer file them with Holly, you file them with the county officials in every particular county, and some of them are filed at the FPPC. So if you have, in the past 6 months that you're reporting on, if you have either collected $2,000 in campaign donations, contributions, or if you have spent $2,000 or more on political items or campaigning during the 6 month period, you have to report that on Form 460. If you don't reach those, even if you spend nothing, if you don't reach those $2,000 levels, you have to still file Form 470. So there's a filing for everybody. Hopefully that'll clear up some of the confusion that Holly's been talking to me about.
Okay, is there any questions regarding this item?
I have a question for Jim. Jim, what if we don't currently have a campaign committee?
If you don't have a committee, you still personally, then if the committee has been disbanded, it's gone. But if you're still, Keith, you're still elected official, could run again. So this would apply to you personally. And if you're not collecting or spending personally, you file the 470.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Markman, this is Director Miller. I did do the net file for the 470, and when you get your letter, they have an 800 number that if you need help in filing it, it was easy with help. And yeah, I was told you had to file, even if you're not running for the particular year, so.
Yeah, that's right, because because you can say that you're not running and then not file, and the last day when the filing period is over, oh yes, okay, I'll run. So they make you file the form. If you're not running and you're not collecting, you just file the 470.
Right. And then if you have you're collecting funds, you have to report it anyway to the 460. So it's not bad. Net file was rather easy. So I encourage it.
I may have to ask you for advice, because I've been trying to figure out, I've been doing this for years on the forms, but I'm having some issues with the net file.
I called their little 800 number, and they got the guy on the line and walked me through everything. He took his time.
So Audrey, if we pay you to file ours, do we have to file 460?
Be like me and just call the county, and they helped.
Jim, thank you for the explanation. That does help.
Thank you.
There's nothing further. The next item.
No, nothing further.
Request for future agenda items. Okay, we do have need to go to closed session.
We do. It should be pretty brief.
Regarding
CV
communities.
Yeah.
Our favorite subject. I move we go into closed session.
We
Mr.
have a
President.
motion.
Second.
Director Ferris. Director Miller was the second. Madam Secretary.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Ferris,
Yes.
Jay Tremblay,
Yeah.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Mercy,
Yes.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
George Lane.
Yes. Motion carried. Let's take a 5-minute break and we'll reconvene.
Stand by.
Recording stopped.